Hey everyone, this is the Heroes Podcast. I'm excited. I have Denise Colón here. How are you?
I'm good. I'm awesome.
I'm really excited about this interview. But before we get into your story, I wanted to intro you a bit. So Denise, from once being a teenage mother to leading large-scale operation teams of thousands across Fortune 500 companies and healthcare system, has built a career and calling rooted in transformation, faith, and resilience. She is a Lean Six Sigma certified operation catalyst, and she is leading a movement that equips women to heal, rebuild, and walk boldly in purpose. She has programs, books, and retreats, such as the Unshaken, Promise to Love and Honor, and Beauty After the Breakdown. I love this. This is so exciting to have someone empowering women. Uh, how did this start, Denise? I'm wondering if this is not your original start of life, then what have you gone through? If you could share that, some of that.
I think the most impactful thing for me was becoming a teenage mom. I think that has built a sense of resilience in me that I never thought I could. And ideally, making sure that I did not just have one, I had three children before the age of 21.
Oh,
So there was a moment of desperation, lost hope, judgment, and just, hey, where am I going? Is this the end? Is there any hope at the end of the tunnel? And just struggling from trying to just feed these kids, trying to, get back to school. Because in addition to being a teenage mom, I also was a high school dropout. So I was like, where am I starting? Where am I doing? Where am I going? But I think the most impactful thing to me was having my children so young. And that's where it started because I had to learn the value of a dollar and how to take care of folks that relied on me.
what would you say? I'm wondering what you must have gone through emotionally, mentally. Did you have help? Uh, just give us more of that experience.
So I really felt outcasted and rejection. That's number one. Because here I am, I'm literally 17 years old, pushing a stroller, and I have a belly. And then by the time I'm 18, I now have one that's walking, one in the stroller, and the next one in my belly. And it was extremely stressful because the first thing I would think of as I walked into the room was, what are people thinking about me? And have they already counted me out? And most of the time, yes, that's exactly what it was. They were judgmental and they counted me out. And I literally had to choose what is it that I was going to do with what people thought about me. And was I going to let that define me?
So, what was the journey like? You must have been shaping your resilience and personality, but what has got you through this? Because there must have been a lot of prejudice, but probably people saying, "Oh, are you not thinking, or are you not protecting yourself?" All of those things. Like, how did you get through?
So I guess that's where my business in the movement that I'm creating, because my faith is legitimately what got me through that. I had to separate myself from what others thought and the foundation of which I was raised in, and coming from a home that a faith-driven home that's legitimately empowered me, and which I feel really humbled and kind of blessed to have. Because of that foundation, I was able to sit here, and despite the things that I was being confronted by, I still will lean into the things that were literally taught to me. And it allowed me to go through these catalytic moments where I could sit here and say, no, I'm going to keep going because there is something better. I can lean on to the what others think.
And what is your faith if it's not a
So I call myself a Christ disciple, follower of Christ, and I am a Christian, and I grew up in a Christian home. And I'm so grateful that I did because at those moments where I did not see that light at the end of the tunnel, those moments that my mom shared a word or two literally kind of, empowered me, verses like Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Those were literally deep rootly engraved in my heart and gave me the courage to say, I'm gonna keep pushing.
And would you say, yeah, you were brought up in a community where it was normal to have children quite early,
No.
or just you?
So not only was I outcasted by society, but my own faith as well, because the home that I grew up in and the belief system I grew up in, I literally was should have been married and I should have settled down and I should have been a housewife. That was the whole setup. But I did not do that. I was the first person to have a child out of wedlock in my family. And I also was not married. I'm not only married, but I raised my children by myself. So that was also something that was not normal. Normally, you legitimately had a partner to
Yeah.
to go through the process. I didn't have either one. So I not only faced what society was saying, but I also faced the rejection of my own family. And not only my mom, my dad, and my other folks in my family, it was also like the church community, the people that are supposed to support you, they literally also was a form of rejection there as well.
So was there anyone to help you along the journey, or you just battled through yourself, your own grit and sheer determination that I will raise these children and I will be decent, a decent mom? Or how did this happen?
That's exactly what happened. I was like, they said, no, this can't be done. You need to have this and you need to have that. And I was like, well, I'm going to prove everyone wrong. And like literally, I was like, I have the one thing I need and I'm great. And that's my faith in believing that despite of what was said and how the plan that we were guided to follow, which I believe in, I'm still going to make it because my faith tells me that I will. So, no matter the circumstances. So, legitimately, I'm on this journey by myself. And I grew up in New York City. So, in New York City, a lot of folks definitely do not take into the same caveat and belief systems as you. So, you have to confront that as well. So, the majority of the journey was me, myself, and I. And normally I say, hey, it's me and my God. And that's what's got me through everything.
That's remarkable to be able to do all of that with God behind you. But as they normally say, God is playing on your team. You don't have to worry. But still, it must have been, yeah, difficult
It was
to do
very difficult.
each and every.
Um,
And how has this evolved? Uh, Obviously, you become an example of how to go against
the grain.
the system, how to not follow any suggestions or rules. Um,
Oh, ideally, what I did is I knew I had to do something for the sake of trying to compensate for some income to take care of my family. So I knew education was a really big part, and I went ahead and started that path. My mother, who may God bless her and rest her soul, she was a huge advocate for me. When she saw that I was really committed after making all these crazy mistakes, she literally gave me a helping hand and trusted me when no one else legitimately did. And when she gave me that one moment to trust me that I was going to do it right, that legitimately was the foundation that I needed in order for me to get myself back into what I would potentially build. And I did. I went back to school as a junior in high school. And when I showed up, I was already pregnant. I already gave birth to the first one, pregnant with the second one. And my mom told me, just hold your head high. Please, I believe in what you believe. It's not might have been traditional, but we do know and believe in a God that's faithful. And he will always provide us even the strength when we do not expect it.
And I'm just wondering, did these kids, your children, had a father, or have you had support from a man in this?
So my kid's father and I were together for about 5 years, and during that time, he himself was young, so he really was not equipped to give me the support I needed. So it was the onus was on me to figure out, hey, what is it that I'm gonna do? And essentially, we did split eventually because I looked at it and I said, I need to make sure that my kids are confronted by a positive role model, and I did not feel that we were adequately aligned. However, he was there and he also passed away not too long ago as well. But ideally, I was the person who financially provided for my family. I was also the nurturer for my family. And my mom and my dad ended up becoming that partner that I needed because you do need a partner. It is better to raise children in a household where there is a team. But for me, my team was a dynamic of me and my parents because I was so young and they couldn't give me the richness of the world, but the support they gave me to literally raise my children allow me to propel and to reach new heights that I potentially probably could have not if I did not have them.
What would you say is was your biggest achievement, apart from obviously bringing them up?
I think my biggest achievement that I have was my most recent where I finally wrote a book. And in the process of me writing my book, I got to revisit everything that I've been through in my life. And I was able to see sometimes living and seeing what you've done is two different scopes. I was so stuck in the grind. I did build my company that's Grace and Grit. With grace and this gritness that I have to just keep going, I literally built this platform, and it's that very same spirit that just got me through everything. But I have not known and taken a look at what I've accomplished until I legitimately wrote this book. And then I'm able to see from the pages and the words in the book that I wrote this journey where I have no idea. I was in grad school working two jobs, 90-hour weeks, still taking care of three kids. And I literally finished grad school with a 3.3 GPA. Now, I slept 3 hours a day. And when I visit those moments, it brings me chills because I'm like, if that was not the grace of God being defined, then I have no idea how to define it because it is humanly possible. I literally had to work the internship plus my full-time job to support my kids because I didn't have the option to say I'm going to do one or the other or the support financially from someone else to step in and give me that actual opportunity to do so. So this was me. There was no other way I would have been able to do this if it wasn't for literally walking in my faith and believing.
It's massively, and it's mission impossible. That's all I'm hearing. And how did you turn this into serving others? What was the process? I mean, probably you have already been noticed by many with this
So
work.
for me, the process was ideally saying, hey, listen, there are a lot of folks out there. Yeah, my situation was teenage mom, high school dropout, but how many others are literally against the grain, against the odds? So I have been leader for over 10 years now. And in the process of being a leader in supply chain industry, I will literally cultivate opportunities for my employees who I mirrored at some point or another. Most of them did not know. And then when I would share a moment with them and tell them I was a high school dropout, I then became a source of motivation for them. I was like, you don't have to take my path. You don't have to get a master's degree. You don't have to do it. What we're going to do is give you accessibility to the tools that you need in order to be successful. And time again, I've been able to do that with people who have gone from legitimately making hourly checks to salary opportunities and leading their own teams and building the same thing over and making sure that, we each one teach one and that we put things into practice where we create opportunities and smart ways on how we can elevate our folks in general that find themselves against the grain.
That's amazing. And what is a typical, who is a typical client of yours? Probably, if they're listening now, how would they know, oh, I need to get in touch with Denise?
So ideally, I am an operation catalyst. So what I do is I integrate technology and smart ways for companies to go ahead and be able to provide them ways that are smart in order to get the job and be more effective and grow their business. So the average person that will literally use me as a form of a contact or a tool is to bridge the gap that they themselves may have in understanding how to build this actual process for themselves, or individuals who say, hey, listen, I don't have the time nor the money, but I do want to better myself. And I want to know how is it I can do this and value the one thing I know I can't get back, and that's time. So, the collaboration we do is trying to build individuals and their businesses, potentially, whatever they are literally facing in that moment, in hopes to go ahead and allow them to build a strong foundation for themselves and those that they impact every day.
And what is different about working with you? What would you say? What's the magic potion? Why would anyone work with you? I'm wondering.
So ideally, it's because I think knowing your audience is really important. I tell all the leaders that I actually coach that success is driven by two major things: knowing your folks and meeting them where they're at. What does that mean? That means that I've taken people that, give you an example, I had an employee who was blind. And I had to literally interject an actual application to learn how to use systems. So I had to learn what the process was and who the employee was, the unconventional way to legitimately support this employee, who now also is a client, who says that they've never had someone support them the way I did and leverage whatever they had available to them to give them the resource so they can then become independent. That's an example. The other one would be anyone who legitimately, ideally, is looking for a way where is non-conventional and what is out there and how we can resources to leverage whatever their actual moment is trying to achieve.
What would you be celebrating in 5 years' time if things have gone very well for you?
I am trying to leverage the community that I live in and try to go ahead and give accessibility to ways of folks that ideally are looking for that bridge to success. So 5 years time, I hope to impact my community by giving them those tools, and where I've started to leverage the community colleges and the universities in the actual state to see how we can go ahead, and while students like myself are trying to literally balance work and family, why not wait 3, 4 years till they complete, but give them some leverage of resources so they can go ahead and start today what they potentially can build up for tomorrow, whether it's entrepreneurship or whether it's working for a Fortune 500 company. Whatever way they want to dice the journey, I'm there to support them. And I really look forward to impacting my community, which is a actual community that is on the poverty line, and try to elevate not just myself, but them as well.
What would you say if someone is struggling today? What would be the 3, 4 things they could do now to start this? Obviously, there's 2 ways here: employment or entrepreneurship journey.
So the first thing I ask folks to do is legitimately some discipline and key actual behaviors that have to change in order to get into the right mindset. The changing of the mind is extremely important in order for you to go ahead and open the doors to opportunity. If we don't take those actions, then ideally what ends up happening is just a vicious cycle of just keep trying over and over. So the one true absolute is, hey, the changing of the mind, the renewing of the mind, the refueling of the mind. And there's key actual behaviors that I ask my folks to take. One of them is legitimately devotional in the morning. And for example, or prayer, which is something that's absolute as well. And people's like, hey, but why does that have to happen? I was like, it's the discipline in it. It allows you to open the door and legitimately the day with structure. Doing key little items of that sort allow you to build a foundation.
I like it. I think it's been a devotee of a how you start, how you finish type of daily principle. And interesting, I think there comes a point, and probably you've already come to that, is when you don't necessarily need those tiny, tiny little rituals. I just found myself to be so aligned with my journey, who I am. I'm so comfortable being the doctor of self-worth that I just jump in doing uh, the right appropriate thing. I'm not. I'm sorry to say I'm not praying. I'm not meditating. I don't even leave too much space for me to just think. It seems like everything is flowing automatically. I'm connected to God and or whatever you believe in, and I'm just being myself. Well, do you have that experience, or are you teaching some of that to people?
So what most people don't know is that I have never been, because of the work environment that we're in, we're very limited on, expressing our belief system. However, the behavior that I've taken has been based on my belief system. That's why it's crucially important to make sure that you restructure yourself. What does that mean? You're not supposed to be judgmental. You're supposed to make sure that you're a resource. You're supposed to serve individuals. Those are just some foundational principles within the Christian faith that I have taken and have enacted in every role that I've had and have been successful without branding myself. And that's ideally what's supposed to happen. Uh, they're supposed to sit here and say, well, I have nothing but good to say. And then they realize, oh my God, that's a woman of faith. I would have never thought, but now it makes sense. And so ideally that's how you're supposed to move. But it starts at some point or another with creating that structure. And you have to sit here. And it wasn't overnight. I had my own struggles where I would go and say, when am I going to pray? When am I going to do this? I was horrible at it. Really horrible. But now those are the things that I try to tell people. And when they start doing it, they're like, oh my God, this works. I was like, yeah, I know. And you might just be able to just listen to a podcast in the morning for an hour while you get ready and do that consistently every day. And it doesn't have to be a faith-based one. It could be just a positive reinforcement to what the day is going to hold. But having that consistency is the important part of it.
I love that. What would you say if someone wants to get in touch with you or follow what you do? What's the best way to engage with you if you want to share your website or any type of giveaways? Now is the time, but we'll have all of them under the video.
So if anyone really wants to go ahead and start to explore what opportunities we have, or work with me directly, you can go ahead and reach me at Grace and Grit by PSI.com. So again, Grace and Grit by PSI.com. That is the direct link to get connected with me. I have my platform there, my retreats, my books, everything else that I do, and shoot me a message. Any project that's not even listed, I'm open to anything that's available. I am an out-of-the-box thinker and an innovator. So definitely have a resource tools that are available as well that are accessible. So you can definitely reach out to me and let me know exactly how I can help.
Thanks for sharing that. What have I not asked you today that you think you feel you want to share?
Where my kids are today. So, not only have I personally been successful in my life and in my career, but I also have been successful with my children. Statistically speaking, they say children in a single family household are not successful. But I have a daughter with a learning disability who is an entrepreneur herself, opened up her new business, who I assist as well. I coach her on the side as she goes. And I also have a daughter who's in nursing, and I have my son who's the youngest who decided that he wanted to have a career in defending our country and our honor. So I share that to say that, yes, you can start by those counting you out. But the reality is that when you look at the end, their success is my success. And it was never something that I couldn't do. It was just a dedication that I had to give to myself in order to be a better person so they can have what they needed to have a better life.
Oh, what a powerful message. Denise, thanks very much. It's been wonderful. It was eye-opening to have you at the Heroes podcast, and I hope to see you more, and I hope to see you soon. Take care.